There is now over 140 hardened criminals out in the community, including child sex offenders, and we still do not know whether they are being monitored.
Albo's leadership is a joke. It's an absolute joke.
That's my style. I hope you've noticed that.
Our focus is on making sure that the government gets its priorities right. It's had its priorities wrong for the last 18 months, and our focus is making sure that they're focused on cost of living, keeping our borders safe, fixing this immigration debacle following the release of these detainees, and making sure that their ministers know what they're doing. They seem to be completely lost. They seem to be completely leaderless at the moment, and our focus is very much just going to remain on addressing the issues that are important to the Australian people.
One of those issues, national security. Dan, new legislation up this week that gives judges the power to strip terrorists of their dual Australian citizenship. Are you inclined to support that?
Well, we've been asking for this legislation to be brought forward now for over a month. We want this issue fixed, and we'll work with the government on it. We also want to make sure that the government knows what it's doing when it comes to these detainees. There is now over 140 hardened criminals out in the community, including child sex offenders, and we still do not know whether they are being monitored, whether they're wearing ankle bracelets, and it seems that there is legal uncertainty around this. We've seen reports out of Western Australia that they aren't being monitored there because of legal uncertainty, and the government has to give us clean answers on this. Are these 140 hardened criminals, including child sex offenders, all wearing ankle bracelets, and are they being monitored? The problem with this government is they're always looking to play politics and not do their day job.
That's my style. I hope you've noticed that.
Like with these detainees, we've got senior ministers out today saying that these detainees, including child sex offenders, are being monitored, yet we have had no assurances whatsoever that they are all being monitored. I just say to the government, stop playing politics and do your day job.
Australians have chosen and they have chosen change. Australians have chosen and they have chosen hope. Australians have chosen and they have looked to the future. A better future for all. A government that will look to unify, to bring people together, not to divide. A Labor government. An Albanese Labor government. Australians chose hope, and the man who embodies that hope is my friend, our leader, Anthony Albanese.
My mother dreamt of a better life for me, and I hope that my journey in life inspires Australians to reach for the stars.
Australia is right now in the grips of a housing crisis. Entire families forced to live, can you believe this, in camper vans, cars and even tents.
To reach for the stars.
Albo's leadership is a joke. It's an absolute joke. We've been saying all along, but people have gone, oh, no, all the other commentators, oh, no, he's doing really good. They're really good on foreign affairs. Rubbish. They've been a disaster on every single front.
This right now is a golden opportunity for Peter Dutton, and I think he is seizing it because right now, Labor is failing on all of the grounds that the Liberals and the coalition do really well on. You know, you mentioned foreign policy before. Well, let's think about how China played Albanese off a break at that APEC summit. Let's talk about how we've just had the first boat land on Australian shores since Operation Sovereign Borders. That again, so border security, foreign affairs, and economic leadership. We're looking at interest rate rise after interest rate rise. This is all being driven by the mismanagement of Anthony Albanese, who has no grand narrative for what he wants to be as Prime Minister except to be Prime Minister.
No, except to fly around the world. He wants to fly around the world taking selfies with Gwen Stefani and pop stars. Nice work, great work. I'd love to do that as well. Terrific. But we actually need some leadership in this country. That's what we require. You haven't mentioned, James, as well, letting in Gazan refugees, people from Gaza. Now, we know from the opinion polls that 75% of Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank approve of the Hamas barbaric activities of October 7th, the rapes and the murders. They approve of them. We're letting in several hundred people from Gaza. Are they being screened to find out that they don't hold those same vile anti-Semitic views? And if not, why not?
Seems to me the government is falling to bits. These past 2 weeks, what a disaster. More than 60 criminals and undesirables released from immigration detention with almost no security. 860 Palestinians given temporary visas with minimal checks. China's leader not confronted about an attack on our Navy divers. Now this panic spending on Labor's climate targets. I could go on. And now our Prime Minister commands so little respect that he's even asked today, or yesterday, whether he had sex in the White House.
People were saying that we have a handsome boy coming from Australia.
When you're staying at the White House with your other half, you've got to,
This is standard procedures.
You've got to,
Chris in the room.
You've got to,
what goes on tour stays on tour.
So he's been working hard at 40,000 feet.
Why has his leadership suddenly hit the wall, as it were?
Well, I think this has been coming. I think this is an erosion from the start. There was such promise and such under-delivery. The Prime Minister's been distracted on his Albanese voice and he's simply been absent from the country. He's not been a Prime Minister dealing with the cost of living, which is the #1 issue for Australians.
But is it, I don't quite get it, is it that he sort of got into the Prime Ministership by default, and, suddenly we now see him for what he is, that he was given a lot of leeway, people expected much, and now the reality's there. Is it that he's lazy, maybe, not on top of detail, or maybe he's just unlucky? I don't know.
Well, detail's never been an Albanese thing, so put that to one side. He's not a details man, but he's not lazy. He's not lazy. He has been travelling the world, doing a diplomatic Kentucky tour. As someone said, he's flown to the moon and beyond.
Down. No. Can we have order, please? Can we have a bit of order? I intend to run an orderly government and it starts here, so behave.